Adam, the White Hair Master. Season 2. Episode 5. The last time we talked about Adam, he was getting a phone call from Sarah. She said that one of her clients had some spiritual problem, so she wanted to ask Adam to come and see if he could help. Sarah also said she had an appointment with that guest. Adam looked at his watch and realized it was almost time for the appointment. He quickly put on his shirt and walked out the door. It seemed that the meeting place wasn't too far from where he lived, so he didn't have to call a taxi but decided to walk. Adam came downstairs, hurriedly said goodbye to the landlady, and jogged over there. He dared not linger because the landlady used to teach him how to live well. This is the rush hour, the streets are crowded with people. Adam immediately mingled with the bustling crowd. Being an optimist about life, when he saw this scene, Adam did not feel uncomfortable. On the contrary, he felt the movement of life around him. Looking at the people around him, he felt like he was looking at each piece of the colorful life around him. The place where Sarah met Adam was a fast food booth. When he got there, Adam found Sarah already waiting there. Now she was buying breakfast. Adam immediately approached and apologized for being late and keeping Sarah waiting. As a person who lives with some principles, letting others wait for him makes him feel guilty. Sarah tells Adam that it's okay because he arrived just in time. She bought him a piece of bread and asked Adam if he wanted to add anything to it. At Sarah's thoughtfulness, Adam was a little confused. While Adam did not have time to answer Sarah, the vendor spoke up. He loudly urged Adam to decide quickly so that he could make other people's cakes. Adam suddenly realized that there were still quite a few people waiting for his turn. His hesitation made the vendor and the people around him feel impatient. Knowing that he had hindered the innkeeper's work, Adam shyly answered the innkeeper. With the owner's attitude, Sarah was not offended, but happily bought him some fruit. Sarah then turned to Adam and asked if he still wanted to buy anything else. Looking at the big bag Sarah had just bought for him, Adam could only smile and shake his head in refusal. The vendor finished making the bread and gave it to Sarah. Seeing Sarah's concern for Adam, he mistook Adam for her boyfriend. At this time, he no longer scowled but smiled very brightly. He even teased Sarah. Faced with the owner's misunderstanding, Sarah hastily explained. After explaining for a while, Sarah's face showed a rare shyness. Even Adam, standing behind, began to blush shyly at this misunderstanding. As he left, Adam still tried to look back at the innkeeper. The bar was so crowded that he still had time to make fun of Sarah. Although he has a short temper, he cares a lot about his customers. Maybe that's why his shop is quite crowded. Sarah explains to Adam that she usually buys breakfast and that the owner still teases her every time she comes to buy things. She also said that he looked like that, but he was very kind. Sarah seemed to be trying to act casual to dispel the awkward atmosphere between the two of them. But mentioning the owner reminded Sarah of his jokes. This startled her, a feeling she had never felt before, her face growing redder by the minute. As for Adam, didn't notice the change in Sarah's face. He was still focusing on the bread because it was really delicious. The two of them talked as they walked, but Sarah grew more and more embarrassed. Even though Adam didn't notice, Sarah deliberately walked faster so that Adam could not see her blushing face. Seeing that Sarah was ahead, Adam stepped faster to catch up with her. The two of them walked forward together. After walking for a while, Adam turned to ask Sarah for information about the customer she introduced to him. At this time, Sarah also gradually regained her composure. The atmosphere became more natural. The two continued to chat for a while. Sarah wanted to talk to Adam for a while, but realizing she would be late for work, she took out her phone and sent Adam the address. After sending the address to Adam, Sarah hurriedly waved goodbye to him. As Sarah left, she said she had a very important date today, so she couldn't go with Adam even though she wanted to. Then she smiled and walked away. As he said goodbye to Sarah, Adam took out his phone. He mumbled the address Sarah had just sent him. It would be better if Sarah led the way because Adam was still unfamiliar with the roads here. But in fact, he had to go to the address Sarah sent by himself. The address Sarah had just sent was a large and modern apartment complex, not far from where he and Sarah parted. Adam ate while following the instructions on the phone. As soon as he finished eating the bread, it was time for him to find the place. This apartment complex is large, but Sarah's address is very clear, so Adam quickly found the apartment he needed. Adam came knocking on the door. After a few seconds, he heard footsteps coming out. Opening the door for Adam was a young woman, about 30 years old. Judging from her attitude, she seemed to be anxious to meet Adam. The girl's polite and respectful attitude made Adam feel a little embarrassed. After entering the house, to reduce the feeling of embarrassment, Adam spoke to the girl. Adam said that she didn't need to be so polite as he couldn't really be a mage yet, plus he was still quite young, apparently even younger than her. To Adam's easygoing, she happily introduces her as Camilla. After sitting at the table, Camilla poured tea for Adam. Adam took a sip of tea. He felt a very special taste, proving that Camilla had prepared quite well to welcome him. Without wasting any more time, Adam directly asked the problem Camilla was facing. At this time, Camilla was no longer as happy as when she welcomed Adam. She changed her face and began to sadly recount the incident about her husband. According to Camilla, her husband is a pretty standard person. He is a gentle, cheerful man who never smokes and rarely drinks alcohol, so she is proud of her husband. Until a few days ago, he started acting strangely. He came home from work at 10 p.m., then hurriedly changed his clothes and left the house. This has never happened before. Since Camilla's husband is quite busy, he always tries to spend time with his family as much as possible. Camilla asked him where he wanted to go when it was late at night, but he didn't answer, just quietly closed the door and left. This made Camilla feel even more strange. He had always respected her. Even when the couple quarreled, he did not behave like that. Camilla waited for her husband until late at night but did not see him back. When she had just been in bed for a while, her husband came in. It was already 2 a.m. Camilla sat up and asked where her husband had gone. Faced with Camilla's question, her husband just kept silent without saying anything. At her husband's attitude, Camilla began to feel annoyed. She approached her husband and repeated the question, but he remained silent as if he hadn't heard. She was about to continue talking when she discovered that her husband's face was extremely bad. His eyes were dark, dull, and lifeless. Looking at him now as a dead body, she was really worried. Camilla asked her husband more, but he still didn't open his mouth to say a single word. Not only with a strange expression and attitude, but Camilla also smelled the stench emanating from her husband. Without saying a word, Camilla's husband took off his coat and went to bed. Camilla reached over to pick up the shirt and discovered the stench emanating from the shirt her husband had just taken off. Unable to stand the stench emanating from the shirt, Camilla stood up and took the shirt to the laundry. She was afraid that by tomorrow, the stench would haunt everything in the house. Before washing, Camilla checked to see if her husband had anything in his pocket. She noticed something in her husband's shirt. She reached in and took them out of the pocket. She saw a banknote, which was not unusual until she realized that the bill she was holding in her hand was a joss paper. Camilla wondered where her husband had gone at night and left this thing in his pocket. The whole thing made her start to feel anxious and insecure. The next day, when Camilla came to pick up her husband's coat from work, she was quite surprised. Although it has been washed and dried, the unpleasant odor still remains on the shirt. She immediately took the joss paper to her husband and asked him about its origin. And more importantly, where he went last night. She also told her husband that she wouldn't let him go to work if he didn't answer. But her husband's answer surprised Camilla. He said he doesn't remember anything that happened to himself. He doesn't know where he's been or what he's been doing since last night. Looking at her husband's worn face overnight, Camilla began to notice something unusual about this. She contacted several acquaintances to seek help. Luckily she met Sarah, and Sarah introduced Adam to her. Camilla ended the story with a sad and insecure face. She begs Adam to help her and her husband. She is afraid that if this situation continues, something bad will happen to her husband. Faced with Camilla's anxiety, Adam can only comfort her and promise to help her with all his might. He then asked Camilla to show him the shirt her husband was wearing that night. Camilla went inside to get her husband's shirt and give it to Adam. Just holding the shirt in his hand, Adam frowned when he smelled the smell coming from the shirt. Gradually, he guessed the incident. Putting down the shirt, Adam turned to Camilla and told Camilla to try to help her with this problem. But right now, he couldn't say anything, so he would wait downstairs at the apartment gate in the evening to see where Camilla's husband had gone. Hearing that, Camilla was overjoyed. She kept thanking Adam for his help. That night, as promised, Adam arrived at the gate of the apartment complex where Camilla lived and waited there. He wanted to find out where Camilla's husband wanted to go. He has to find the source of the problem so that he can solve it. Waiting with Adam was Sarah. After working with Adam to deal with the girl's suicide in the bathtub, she felt that Adam's job was really interesting. In addition, she thought that instead of standing outside, it would be better if they both stayed in the car and waited. At Sarah's enthusiasm, Adam was very appreciative. After talking to Sarah a few more sentences, Adam turned his worried eyes towards the apartment complex gate. He doesn't know if Camilla's husband is going out tonight. I don't know how long he and Sarah have to wait. If he doesn't come out tonight, he and Sarah can't sit here all night. While Adam was turning his attention to the apartment complex gate, Sarah handed him a snack. Turns out Sarah prepared quite a bit of junk food in the car. She said she didn't know how long it would take, so she bought them on the way here. Once again, Adam was surprised by Sarah's thoughtfulness. After chatting for a while, to reduce boredom, Sarah suggested that they both watch a movie. Adam found this idea quite good, so he agreed. After a bit of searching, Sarah found a movie with a pretty catchy title. This is a movie about zombies. Sarah also joked with Adam that this movie is not similar to what he learned from his master about zombies. From the very first scenes, the film made Sarah shiver by the creepy scenes in the film. Different from the initial exhilaration, Sarah began to feel scared with the scenes in the movie. Her heart felt like it was going to jump out of her chest. Now her hand was unconsciously directed towards Adam. At the climax of the film, she seemed to be unable to keep her composure anymore. By this time, her fear had reached its peak. Adam suddenly thought this was the movie that Sarah was so scared of, not knowing what it would be like to encounter a real zombie. Sarah no longer dared to look at the screen. She turned and hugged Adam's shoulder tightly. Adam was about to speak to her to reassure her when he noticed something. He realized someone had just come out from the entrance of the apartment complex. After taking a closer look, Adam realized it was Camilla's husband, who was slowly walking out of the gate. Not paying attention to anything around him, he strode past the car that Adam and Sarah were sitting in. Adam quickly removed Sarah's hand clutching his shoulder. He told Sarah to start the engine to follow Camilla's husband. Knowing that she was rude, Sarah apologized to Adam and drove off to follow Camilla's husband. Camilla's husband is now like a corpse without a soul. He keeps walking. Even though the car is following, he has absolutely no reaction. Just like that, he went straight to an old, unfinished building on the outskirts of the city. Rumor has it that this project has encountered some strange things during construction, so it must be stopped. The two men followed Camilla's husband inside. But when it gets close to the construction, the car can't go any further. Because it is still under construction, there is no way to go inside. The ground was littered with construction materials, causing Sarah to stop. Sarah was about to open the car door and get out, but Adam stopped her. He didn't know what was in there, so he was afraid that Sarah would be in danger when he went inside with him. Adam immediately told Sarah to go back to Camilla's apartment to wait for him. It's not far from here, so he'll walk home after he's done. Hearing Adam tells her to go back and leave him here alone, Sarah is a little scared. But Adam reassured her that nothing would happen. If something went wrong, he would call her to let her know. After a moment of hesitation, Sarah finally agreed to Adam's suggestion. Adam got out of the car, waited for Sarah to disappear before he slowly stepped inside. After walking a few steps, Adam stopped and looked up at the unfinished building. From what he had learned from his master, he frowned slightly as if he noticed something unusual about this building. Thanks to the light from the moonlight, Adam briefly looked at the building from top to bottom. According to Adam, feng shui here is not good. Perhaps the owner of this building is a pragmatist, so when the building did not invite the master to look over it before starting construction. Adam noticed that there was a faint aura here, but nevertheless, he calmly stepped inside. After entering the building, Adam did not see Camilla's husband anywhere. He looked around to find him. At this moment, Adam heard the sound coming from upstairs. He immediately looked up and listened attentively. After listening attentively for a while, Adam realized it was the voice of conversation. It took a while for Adam to hear it because the sound was quite small, accompanied by a bit of magic that made listeners get goosebumps. Adam walked quietly upstairs, following the source of the sound. The sound of conversation led him to a room at the end of the hallway. Adam cautiously approached the window of the room. "Do your best to keep quiet." Adam pressed himself against the window sill, then slowly leaned over to peer inside. After looking inside, Adam saw 4 people, including Camilla's husband. On the table they were sitting at was a deck of mahjong cards. Looks like Camilla's husband was lured here to gamble. Except for Camilla's husband, Adam realizes that the other 3 are all demons. Now the demon facing Camilla's husband was looking at him and laughing, his voice sounding so spooky. The demon asked Camilla's husband if there was any money left. At his question, Camilla's husband could only shake his head. All of them are carrying underworld bills. It seems they will use these joss paper to gamble. When the 3 demons learned that Camilla's husband did not have enough joss paper, they laughed with joy. They say that you can use your lifespan to bet. You will have to pay for your own life if you lose. Camilla's husband slowly nodded unconsciously. After Camilla's husband accepted the demon's offer, they immediately dealt cards. Adam doesn't understand why Camilla's husband was lured here to gamble with these demons. This question kept swirling in Adam's head, prompting him to find an answer.